So, watch me make kimono, agbada, bubu, depending on what part of the world you're from. First, you want to measure your width of the dress and then the length. Once you're done ironing the length part, you cut all the way down. I like to iron my lines because it helps me cut in a straighter line. So once you're done cutting, you fold your double layered fabric in half again. So now you have 4 layers. What you're going to want to do is mark your neckline. This is a 3x2. Mark it, draw an arch because you want to round the neck, so it helps make it easier to cut a more rounded neckline. And then what you're going to want to do is mark 2 inches and draw a diagonal line all the way up to the neckline. This helps the shoulder fall over your shoulders instead of like a straight or square looking shoulder line. So now I'm cutting the diagonal line that I drew. So now that you're done with the shoulders, you want to measure the width of the dress. And that's what I just marked. And then also how round you want your sleeves to be. And that's the mark right there. Now you want to join those 2 lines. And of course, you draw another arch. It helps when it's time for you to sew the edges of the dress. So you open that up, take off 1 layer because now we're gonna cut out the shawl collar, because the front neckline is different from the back. So, and we're trying to have a V-neck shawl collar type situation going on. So you mark 10 inches here and cut. If you want a much more deeper V-neck line, of course you can make it a little longer. And there you have it. So what you're going to want to do next is cut out a lining. The fabric that I'm using for my dress is a little thin, and you can literally see my silhouette through the fabric. So I'm going to cut out a lining to make the fabric look a little thicker. You can skip this part if you're using a fabric that's not as see-through as the one I'm using. And voila, now we're gonna cut the front part. There we go. Now you have both your front and back fabric and the lining, so you're gonna want to stitch them together. Stitch the lining to your main fabrics together. Now that they're stitched, I'm gonna flip it inside out. So I did have a double sided fabric, so it didn't matter which side I attached my lining to. So you're gonna flip it over after stitching the lining and the fabric together, and that's what I'm doing here. And also this fabric frills a lot, which is a good thing that I do have a lining, because it's going to help keep the frilling inside. So what I'm going to do now is stitch the shoulders of, actually I'm going to iron first, because it helps it look a little more neat and professional. And then once I'm done ironing, I'm going to stitch the shoulders of the dress together. And make sure you flip it over to the wrong sides. So what I'm going to do next is mark 4 inches down. We're in the process of getting the shawl collar together. So you're going to want to do 4 inches, and then now you you measure out the entire neckline all the way down to the 4 inches, which I believe was about 36 inches. Go all the way down, yep, about 36. Now we're going to cut out the collar. So you mark your 36 and cut. And then you fold it over just to kind of see how thick the collar is going to be. I think this is fine for me. This was about maybe 5 inches. I think it's good. If you want it much thicker, of course, the width of your collar will be longer than 5. And I'm going to cut out the end face, and the face makes it a little more, it gives it more shape. And then once we're done cutting, we're going to attach the inner face to the fabric and iron it. Make sure you give it a really good iron So the interface dissolves into your fabric, and then we're gonna stitch the rough edge. There we have it. Now that we've stitched it, you're gonna want to pin the collar to your neckline. And what I didn't mention was when you pin the collar to the neckline, also pin it down on that 4-inch line that you drew, but don't pin it right on that 4-inch line. Pin it about a half an inch away from that line on both sides. And we're going to go ahead and stitch. Now that it's stitched, when I didn't show, I might not have shown on camera, but you're supposed to cut down on that 4-inch line so that when you stitch the collar, remember you sewed it half an inch away from that line, so you're going to cut that triangle out, and then once you're done stitching the collar to the neckline, you tuck the end in. And then I also folded it because I was having a hard time. I kind of didn't like how it looks right now on screen, so I folded it over and it was perfect for me. And I think that's mainly because my collar was a little thick, but it's fine. Yeah, just play around with this, and you know, I apologize, it's a little off camera, but there we go, much better angle. So this is the part where I flipped the collar over and it was perfect. So if you have a much thicker collar, I would advise that you fold it over. Like I said, play around with it till you get your desired look. Yep, and pin that down and stitch it. Once you're done stitching, give it a good iron, especially the ends and the edges of your dress. there you have it. I also added an applique at the front to give it a little style and zest. And there we go. Thanks for watching.